What is up? What is good? How are you? It's been far too long, people. It's been far too long since we got together. And that's on me. That's on me. I take that one. Been, had like almost like a draft hangover. Rightfully so. Last time you guys saw me, I was drinking like an entire liter of Kirkland margarita mix. So the next day at work was not fun. Let me just put it to you that way. I did not enjoy myself the day after the draft rolling into the office. But we got through it. Had a lot of fun with that show. We got a lot of new viewers in that show. So if you are, tuning in new to the show this week, drop a like. Say what's up in the chat. Let me know if you're hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate everybody that came out for that. Everybody that came out for our last fundraiser as well, for the Epilepsy Foundation. I really appreciate that. Tonight is another special show. We are raising money for Wounded Warrior Project. If you don't know, we are going to be doing some fundraising for the show, but 50% of the profits that we accrue up to our goal of $400 going directly to the Wounded Warrior Project. Anything beyond that goal, 100% of those proceeds going directly to the charity. So pretty excited about that opportunity to invest into Line to Gain as well as give back. So wouldn't be possible without you guys. So I really appreciate that. So what has been up? Cheers, guys. It's random beers in the fridge night tonight. So we're gonna have a myriad of refreshing beverages tonight. The mountains are blue though to kick things off. Coors Light. Cheers. Well, what's happened since we last talked though? Masks are almost done. We're almost done with masks, apparently, if you've been vaccinated, which as of tomorrow, I will be 2 weeks after my second shot. So I think I'll be good, right? I can just like walk in Meijer or Kroger and not have any issues in terms of wearing a mask. I think I can do whatever I want, right? We're getting close to that, at least from what they're saying. What else has happened? Joe Burrow has been fucking cleared to play week 1 pretty much. We'll say pretty much because the doctor said looks like all systems go for week 1. And if you are a Bengals fan, that is amazing news because we always kind of thought that he would be there, but to really hear it from the doctor, to hear the doctor say like, yeah, he's probably going to be going out and playing week 1, that's amazing. Because we know how bad this team is without him. This team obviously being the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's huge. That's huge for their season. That's huge for Zach Taylor. I don't want to sugarcoat this, that if Zach Taylor does not perform well in the first, and we'll get into it tonight, we'll talk a little bit about some specific teams in general. We're going to predict every record tonight. We're going to predict every single record for every team, but we are going to talk about some of your favorites, like obviously the Bengals. We're going to talk about the Lions. But anyway, if Zach Taylor does not perform well in the first I think like quarter, if not third of this season, it's going to be bad because they are very winnable. The Bengals have an opportunity to start out very well this season. A couple of shout outs already. We got Todd Gottschall jumping in, catching the show tonight. Appreciate you, Todd. We got my mom dropping a like. I appreciate you. I know I haven't seen you guys in a while, so there might have been some fall off. Some people that have forgot that Line to Gain was going on, and that's on me. I get that. But let's talk about what we're really here for tonight, and that's to raise some money for Wounded Warrior. The PayPal and the Venmo are in the description of the video. If you want to drop in a PayPal or a Venmo donation, every bit counts. We appreciate it. We've already got our first donation in so far. Let's take a look. It's Mama. Mama dropping a $25 donation for Wounded Warrior. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate you. Let's see if we got anything streaming through the PayPal just yet. Mm-mm. You can tell how often I use PayPal. I was very quickly able to find, the Venmo one. No, it doesn't look like anything in the PayPal yet, but that's okay. We're just getting started tonight, so we're chipping through that goal. So we talked about Burrow being pretty much cleared. Fantastic news. Other news: Tebow's back. It's Tebow time. Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer are back together again in northern Florida. The Jags just signed Tebow to a 1 year, I think it's $920,000 contract, bringing him on board there to play tight end in Jacksonville. Obviously not a quarterback situation there as they drafted Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall there in Jacksonville. And I mean, with that kind of price, what do you have to lose if you're Jacksonville? What do you have to lose? I'm pretty sure none of it's guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken. Whoa there. I'm pretty sure none of it's guaranteed. And I, for one, I'm not even entirely sure that Tim Tebow is going to make the team when we get out of training camp. That said, kind of along the line of tight ends, there's a tight end camp, or like a tight end, I forget what the word they're using, but it's basically, I think it's Kelsey, Kittle, and I want to say there's one other guy that's putting it on. Can't remember off the top of my head, but all of the premier basically tight ends in the league are putting on like a workout clinic together, and they invited Tim Tebow. Eric Ebron is going to be there. T.J. Hawkinson's going to be there. Kyle Pitts is going to be there. A lot of the who's who in terms of like tight ends, the upper echelon tight ends in the NFL are going to be there. So no, C.J. Uzomah will not be there, I don't believe, unfortunately. I think he's still coming back from that knee injury, so he wasn't. I don't think he was invited to the tight end camp, but nonetheless, I'm rooting for Tebow. I mean, I think it'd be fun. I think it's interesting what kind of the only thing that I really am thinking of when I think about Tim Tebow on the Jags is Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, quarterback / H-back for the New Orleans Saints. That's what I think about when I think about Tim Tebow playing on the Jags. Rick, appreciate you dropping by, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Rick Ebal with the ladies and gentlemen. No Drew Sample at the tight end camp. I don't think Drew Sample's at the tight end camp either, Todd. I don't think he made it. And that's another thing. Like, what do we expect out of Drew Sample? And this will be his third year. Year 3 out of Drew Sample. I mean, it kind of looked like when Uzomah went down, it kind of looked like him and Burrow had something going. You obviously saw a little bit more out of Sample last year with Uzomah out, and then AJ Green being a ghost of himself. And then when Burrow went down, typically what happens when a lesser quality or even a backup quarterback comes in, you typically see them leaning on those tight ends pretty heavily. And I don't know if that was the result or if Sample just really is getting better. And that's the thing with these tight ends, especially, I know we traded up to get Sample. I believe it was in the 4th round. Could be wrong there. But I think we traded up to get him. And these tight ends take like 3 or 4 years to develop. So this is really when we should start, deciding whether or not we need to reinvest into that position again. is this third year for Drew Sample. But no, I don't think he's at the tight end camp. Oh man. So what are we going to be doing tonight? Here's kind of the order. We're going to be doing NFC first. So I'm going to be doing the NFC least, also known as the NFC East, first. Get those guys out of the way. I'm sorry. I know we've got some Dallas fans and we've got some Philly fans. I'm not sure if we have Washington football team fans or even the New York football Giant fans here on the Line to Gain, but that's okay. And then we're going to be going to the NFC South, following I-95 straight down. NFC North, Lions fans, you're going to be third. We're going to get to you guys, your division, followed by NFC West to wrap things up. Then we're going to follow the same order for the AFC. AFC East, South, North, and then West. And again, what we're going to be doing is today what I did is I went through and I picked the final record for every single NFL team while I was watching Phil Mickelson just torch through and win the PGA Championship. Let's give a cheers to the oldest man to ever win a major, Phil Mickelson. Good job, Phil. It was a lot of fun to watch. Looks like everybody kind of fell apart today. I know this is a football podcast, but I love playing golf. I'm not great at it, but I really enjoy it. And I like watching golf as well. And it was really interesting to watch today as, Phil didn't play that well either, generally speaking. There were some guys that had played really well today. Justin Rose is one that I think of. Ricky Fowler played pretty decent today. Phil did not. I'm pretty sure Phil, if I'm not mistaken, at one point he was one over on the day, and there was only like 3 or 4 holes left. He might have finished even, if not one over on the day. But he put in the work early in the tournament and got himself a major win. Oldest man to ever do it. Pretty amazing. All right. Again, we are here raising money for Wounded Warrior. So far, sitting at $25 out of our $400 goal. Appreciate everybody that was able to donate for our last fundraiser. We would love for you to be able to chip in again. Again, PayPal and Venmo are on the link. Let me know if you're having trouble accessing that. Or they're in the description, I'm sorry. Let me know if you're not able to see that, and I will make sure to reshare. So let's get into it. Let's get into the NFC East. Let me see if I can. Boom. I remembered how to do it. All right. What I want to do here is do a bit of a reveal, if you will. I want to give you one team at a time. So the first team is one that didn't win the division last year. I'm gonna kind of go in order here of who I think is going to win the division, what I think their final record is going to be, and we're going to talk a little bit about them. So this team didn't win the division last year. They have a massive improvement in quarterback this year, and I think their defense is going to be a little bit better too. In first place, I've got, I know it. I know. The Dallas Cowgirls. The Cowboys, I think, are going to come back and have a massive improvement over last year. I think that Dak is going to obviously improve the play of this team. I think that them having Zeke for a full year is going to massively improve this team. They got better on defense through the draft. And not only that, they get to play these guys twice a year each. That, in my opinion, that's at least 4 softballs right here with Philly and the Giants. Am I wrong? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I got the Washington football team, who, by the way, won this division last year. They're getting better, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Rivera is a very good football coach. They're getting better. And don't be surprised if this number right here is a little bit closer. The only thing holding them back, the Washington football team, in my opinion, the only thing holding them back is they don't have a quarterback. Yeah, they got Fitzmagic now. They signed Ryan Fitzpatrick in free agency, but let's be real. He's very easy to figure out. You know what I mean? Very easy to figure out. So like he can come in and he can make something happen right off the jump, but is Ryan Fitzpatrick really going to be the reason your team is, competing and winning in the playoffs? Probably not. So I got the Washington football team at 9-8, and then I have both Philly and the Giants sitting at 3-14. I have zero faith in either of those teams. Philly, I don't know that Jalen is the answer. Is that fair? No, but because we haven't really seen him play a whole lot, but I'm not really convinced that Jalen Hurts is the answer. And then Daniel Jones there in New York, they've got a lot more problems other than the fact that their quarterback's not very good. Their offensive line isn't very good either. Their general manager is a joke, Gettleman. And I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially a GM change while there's a head coach. But how do you do that? How do you get a GM out, which is what they need in New York for the Giants, and not allow him to pick a new head coach? Because they just got a new head coach. So moving on, let me know what you can disagree. So I got Dallas winning the division at 13-4. I got the Washington football team at 9-8. I got Philly at 3-14, and I got the Giants at 3-14. Absolute dumpster fire of seasons for Philly and the Giants. Washington football team makes an improvement. They're above 500. And then we get Dallas having a really good season. Most of that bolstered by the fact that they play in probably the shittiest division in the NFL. They get to play Washington twice. Which Washington's defense, by the way, is going to be really, really good next year. Just watch out for that. Philly, don't trust them. Giants, don't trust them. A lot of the themes tonight are going to be based on the fact of quarterback play. So Washington, with Fitzpatrick, he's a serviceable quarterback, right? So that gets you about middle of the road, about a 500 season. Well, you can't go 500 in a 17-game season. You can't go a perfect 8-8 like you used to in a 16-game season. And then defense, their defense is above average in Washington. And that's what gives them the extra bump. That's why, as I was going through this schedule and picking out teams, picking out games rather, they won more than they lost. The defense wins a lot of games. So we're going to keep breaking it down here for you guys. Let's see. I'm going to get some more visibility here. Again, raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project. PayPal and Venmo are in the description. Please be sure to donate. All right. I'm going to get this up here. We're going to the NFC South. Not the North, but the South. Alrighty. And story with the NFC South is pretty clear, right? I mean, defending Super Bowl champs. You got TB12, and they're bringing back all 22 starters. Could be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. All 22 starters coming back to Tampa Bay. You got the Panthers bringing in Sam Darnold. You got Atlanta trotting Matt Ryan's corpse out there. But now they got Kyle Pitts, right? So we're going to see how many wins is Kyle Pitts worth. That's what we're going to find out. Julio, Calvin in the wide receiver room there for Atlanta. And then New Orleans, the first year without Drew Brees. What's that going to be like? Is it going to be like in New England, first year without Tom Brady? I think probably something pretty similar to that. So let's call it out. Let's show you what I got. All right, so I got Tampa running away with this division, 15-2. Bit of a surprise here, and I'll talk a little bit about this. Carolina at 11-6. They're gonna have a fully healthy CMC, Christian McCaffrey. They're going to have probably the best quarterback that they've had since the middle of Cam's MVP run. And Sam Darnold, their quarterback, will have more weapons than he's ever had. I think that results in Carolina playing good football. I think that results in them winning games. Again, they get to play these teams 4 times, right? Atlanta twice, New Orleans twice. Atlanta just picked in the top 4. You know why? Because they're a bad football team. New Orleans, first year without Drew Brees. Jameis Winston is going to be their quarterback. I'm sorry, I don't see that resulting in any kind of wins, any kind of real competing for a playoff spot. I don't see New Orleans doing it this year. But I got Tampa at 15-2. I got them resting starters week 18. I got Carolina surprising a lot of people at 11-6. And then Atlanta 7-10, making progress. I think they make a little bit of progress this year. And then New Orleans at 4-13. So what do you think? What do you guys think? Tampa, I mean, I think that's pretty clear, right? Tampa's going to be 15-2, or maybe not that the fact that their record is what it is, but pretty clear that Tampa's winning this division. Anybody think that New Orleans is going to do better than that at 4-13? I mean, that's pretty low. Even as I was going through it, I was like, I don't know if I can sit because when's the last time New Orleans brought up the rear of that division? I need a stat man. When is the last time New Orleans came in last place in the NFC South? That had to be a long time ago, right? Pre-Breeze? Was there ever a season that I'm forgetting that Breeze was hurt for a long time? Comment here from Todd. I agree on the Panthers. He's excited to see Sam Darnold with weapons. I am too. I think though, let me be very clear about Sam Darnold. Is a position that I've taken since he was coming into the draft. I was never really super excited about him coming out of SC. I think he got a lot of the attention that he got because he was a quarterback coming out of USC. A little bit older than most of the guys that he was getting drafted up with. If I'm not, again, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure he was one of the older ones in that draft class. And I never really got any of the playmaking ability that you could see out of Lamar or that you could see out of Baker or even Josh Allen. So Sam never really excited me. That being said, he was not put into a good situation. Same reason I'm not excited about Zach Wilson, right? He's going to the Jets, guys. The Jets are a dumpster fire. Like, as bad as the Bengals and the Lions, excuse me, as bad as the Bengals and the Lions are, I mean, the Jets consistently disappoint. Just when you think that they're like, but yet they consistently get so much media attention because they're in New York City. They suck. They've sucked for a very long time. and I'm not entirely sure that they've got the pieces in place right now. Maybe with Sala in there, again, defensive coordinator from San Fran, now the head coach of the New York Jets. Maybe with Sala, I'm sorry, that's his name, Sala. Maybe with him in there, they can, turn it around. He seems like a guy with his head on straight, but the Jets are not necessarily an organization that I'd be super excited about. And we talked about it a little bit on the draft show. It's interesting that a BYU quarterback going to New York City, just a very interesting dynamic. I'm interested to see how Zach Wilson goes going forward in life in general. All right, so let me pull up the. It's not going to be a lot of fun, Lions. In your 21 season, I'm going to pull up the schedule. I'm going to take a quick break, real quick. I'll be back in like 3 minutes. Get these kiddos in bed, and we will jump into the NFC North and your Detroit Lions very, very soon. I'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, all right, all right. Sorry about that little intermission there, folks. I am back. Let me just see here. Oh, looks like we're getting some more donations. Let's take a look at what's happening here, huh? Todd got y'all. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. All right. So as it sits right now, we are 1/8 of our way to our goal. We're sitting here at $50. That is amazing. I appreciate it. Where are we at now on the PayPal? Let's see. No activity on the PayPal. Again, the Venmo and the PayPal link are in the description of the video. If you're joining us tonight, go ahead and drop a like, drop a share, and we are going to continue rolling along here, talking about the different final records for your favorite NFL teams. We've already gone through the NFC East and the NFC South. I got Dallas taking the division at 13-4. I got the Giants bringing up the rear there at 3-14, losing a tiebreaker to Philly, who's also at a 3-14 record. Going to the NFC South, I had Tampa taking that division at 15-2. The Buccaneers, I mean, they've got everybody coming back. They've got the best quarterback of all time. There's zero excuse other than an injury, which I'm not going to sit here and do hypotheticals about injuries or anything like that. And then New Orleans at 4-13. The dark horse in that division, as I just mentioned, Sam Darnold at Carolina. I think Carolina's going to take a step forward this year, so excited to see that. So moving in to your Detroit Lions and the NFC North, one of the things that I think I should mention here is that specifically, obviously, with the NFC North, is that when I took a look at Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, draft night, there was a lot of stuff going around about, we had talked about San Fran potentially trading out because they're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers, and Green Bay was going to get the third pick and Jimmy G, and obviously none of that happened. And as it sits today, Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. There's been nothing that has happened that has shown me that isn't going to continue to be the case, especially when we get to week 1 of the NFL. So if you have disagreeing opinions on that, please let me know. If you're hearing something other than that, please drop it in the chat. I like the dialogue. But with that being said, I've got Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and I think we all really know what that means for everybody else in that division. So let's take a look. I got Green Bay. Oh, little sneak peek there. Oop, sorry. Green Bay taking the division at 14-3, running away with it. I think Green Bay continues on the train that they were on last year. I think Aaron Rodgers continues to channel this fuck you, this whatever he has in Green Bay at Green Bay, and just puts it out on the football field. Because I feel like every time they piss him off, all it does is just creates a monster, and he goes out and explodes. Maybe that's what they're really doing. Maybe that's what they're doing at Green Bay. They're just like, how many times can we just, pull the nose hairs of Aaron Rodgers just to piss him off and get him out there on the football field and be successful? How many times can we do it before he absolutely loses his mind and goes postal? So I got Green Bay winning this one. Minnesota. I think Minnesota, really the biggest gap for them last year was their defense, and they made some pretty impressive strides to improve that. I think Minnesota, especially under Mike Zimmer, can make some strides on the defensive side of the ball. So I got them just above 500, sitting at 9-8. Again, kind of that same thing with Washington, right? Their quarterback is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton. They're all kind of the same, right? They're all kind of the same guy. You know, who else would we put into that bracket of like okay? I'm trying to think. I guess Carson Wentz. I would kind of put him in that bracket. Um, Jared Goff, maybe. He demonstrated some abilities to really lose it last year. Um, hmm. Jimmy G, I guess I would put him in that bracket of like good enough. And then if Minnesota's defense can play well, I think that gets them above 500. So kind of that. Oh, geez. Woo. Look at me yawning on you. Same school of thought, right? Is that if you have a serviceable quarterback and a solid defense, you can win more than you can lose. I think that's fair. Just a continue to plug the reason we're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project. Little bit slow moving tonight in comparison to our last time out here. So share the video, like the video, let people know what we're out here doing. And I'm just making this impromptu decision right now. Every show after this, we will continue to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project until we hit our goal. So no worries. Your donations will not go unused. Get into your Detroit Lions at 3-14. We're going to take a look at their schedule a little bit, and we're going to kind of go game by game, and we're going to just take a look at got my little girl hollering in the background here, guys. I got to take another break. I'll be right back with you. All right. I'm back. I'm really sorry about that, guys. Really sorry about that. But hey, family comes first, right? What do we do? Got to watch the fam. Got to take care of them. So little girls were crying. Got to put them to bed. Anyway, back to the schedules. We're gonna take a look at your Lions. We're gonna take a look at what they are in terms of their schedule, how they're gonna do it. And I don't think it's gonna be great. Let me just put that to you. I don't think it's gonna be super fantastic, but we're gonna go kind of game by game here. They open up rough. I think the Niners are going to be very good this year. I don't think the Lions are going to be very good. So the Niners, if we talk about them, they had more injuries than anyone last year. And don't remember, I think they're 2 years removed from being in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. So they have a very, very good team, a lot of weapons. I don't think Trey Lance is necessarily going to start right away. Maybe he will, but remember, they've got Jimmy G right there. The Lions' start to the season is pretty brutal. You got the Niners, and then you follow up with the Packers on Monday Night Football in Lambeau. Now, if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, maybe, but again, we're not going to operate under these hypotheticals that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be playing quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. We're going to assume that is the case. So pretty rough start. And then you got the Ravens at home. Again, not a super fun trio to start. But if you're the Lions, you don't necessarily want to win a lot this year. I kind of look at Jared Goff as kind of like a stopgap. He is kind of, just a placeholder right now. If he does well, great. That's fantastic. Then you can trade him, right? That's the mindset. You can trade Jared Goff to go get your future quarterback. But I don't think that Dan Campbell came into this job to be head coach of the Detroit Lions to simply take Jared Goff and go win a Super Bowl. The Rams tried it; it didn't work out. So I don't necessarily put that plan as their number one. Then you get a very winnable game with Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. At this point, it could be Justin Fields. You got 3 games under the belt, and you see what you get with Dalton. Maybe it's like, all right, Matt Nagy's like, I need to save my job. We're putting Fields in, which would kind of be a disservice to him at this point. But that's the unfortunate aspect about the NFL is that you don't really get to choose where you go. The teams choose you, and they're going to use you as they see fit. So if Nagy decides that he needs to put Justin Fields in, does that get them ahead of the Lions? I don't know. I think I got the Lions taking this one, if I'm not mistaken. Vikings, another tough matchup for the Lions. I don't see many of these games where the Lions would really be favored. Then you get the Bengals. Bengals coming into town October 17th at Ford Field. We are going to be doing a tailgate, and we're going to be going to the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're a Bengals fan, you're a Lions fan, you tune into Line to Gain, you're in the area and you want to join, we are going to be attending this game. If you haven't had a chance to go to Ford Field, it is a lot of fun. It's a great stadium, underrated in my opinion. And I'm really, really looking forward to having my hometown team come into the city that I live in now and play some football. It should be a lot of fun. Then you got to go to LA and play the Rams. So on paper here, I'm seeing maybe one game where they're going to be favored, and that's the Bears so far. Eagles, winnable game. I think they can beat the Eagles. I'm not very high on the Eagles. I think that's a coin toss, flip of a coin to decide who wins this one. Steelers, I'm not very high on the Steelers this year. That being said, I still think that they've got more on the depth chart than the Lions. Browns, tough game for the Lions to win. Another opportunity for a win here with the Bears. Vikings, tough. Broncos, I'm pretty low on the Broncos this year. We'll get into that a little bit. So I'd say a winnable game. Depending on where the Lions are at. This is getting towards the tail end of the season here. A lot can change. But from the beginning looking in, I would say that's a winnable game as well. Cardinals, tough matchup. I'm pretty big on the Cardinals this year. I think they're going to do a really, really good job. We'll get into them next. The next division, the NFC West. Falcons, I'd say winnable. I still think the Falcons probably look better on paper. And then Seahawks, Packers at the end of the season. That's absolutely brutal. It's kind of a rough go here. 3 out of the last 4, some pretty good teams. The Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Packers. So I got Detroit at 3-14. They're not in the basement. I got the Bears coming in at 2-15. So Detroit, you're bad. You're not the worst, in my opinion. This is kind of how I think it's going to shake out right now. Let's see here. If we're getting some donation notifications, I'm going to take a second to check that. But this is how I see the NFC North. It still runs through Lambeau. In my opinion, this is Aaron Rodgers' division until he is no longer there, and Minnesota slightly above average, and Detroit and Chicago looking pretty rough. Might be a tough season here in Detroit, but again, you're looking towards the future, Detroit. Don't worry. You almost want to suck. You almost want to just be bad enough so you can get a top 5 pick again and lock down a quarterback for the future. And a lot of people think that next year's draft is going to be even more rich with more talent. We're going to have full seasons. We're going to have a lot more bowl games. We're going to have spring games. You're not going to have players opting out. So your sample sizes are going to be larger. So it could be a good draft to need a quarterback. We'll see. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on the draft at this point. Already pretty far out there. Let's touch base with the donation. So you're still sitting at $50 on Venmo. Hopping over to the PayPal. No activity yet on the PayPal. Again, raising money tonight for the Wounded Warrior Project. 50% of all the proceeds up to our goal of $400 will go direct to the Wounded Warrior. Anything that exceeds that $400 goal, 100% of it going to Wounded Warrior. As I made an announcement earlier in the show, we are going to continue rolling with this fundraising and charity effort. Even if we don't hit our goal tonight, we'll continue it until we hit our goal and make sure we get that money to Wounded Warrior. So, last division in the NFC before. So let me see, how do I want to do this? Do I want to complete the NFC and then go through the playoffs? No, I think we'll go through the entire NFL, give the records, and then we'll get into the playoffs. So, NFC West. We've talked about this on this show. I think in 2021, the NFC West is going to be the best division in football. They have the Seahawks, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Niners. I think every one of those teams could win that division this year. I honestly believe that. The Seahawks, they're an offensive juggernaut. It's very hard to stop them. One of the best in the league, Russell Wilson. It's been a long weekend. One of the best in the league with Russell Wilson. You got the Niners, who are just absolutely loaded. If they can stay healthy, the Niners are going to be one of the best in the league. Arizona, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people this year. And then the Rams. You got Matt Stafford, who is, I think, twice as good as Jared Goff, if you can quantify that in that way. I think the Rams are going to kind of bounce back. They competed very well with Jared Goff, so getting a quarterback that's even better than him, I think, sets them up to be pretty lethal as well. So when you get an offensive mind like McVay in there, and then you bring in a quarterback like Matt Stafford, who People in Detroit have a lot of opinions on Matt Stafford. They have a lot of opinions that he was kind of a company man. He didn't necessarily stand up for the team when he needed to. He more stood for the organization. A lot of people that believe that he would not have nearly as good of the stats that he had he not have played with generational talent that is Calvin Johnson. I think there's a statistic out there that says that, in terms of yards and touchdowns, I think Calvin Johnson makes up about half of what Matt Stafford has. I could be wrong, or it could be even more than that, but I think it's a pretty sizable amount when you look at what Matt Stafford has done so far in his career and how much of that is because of Calvin Johnson. But to be fair to him, a lot of the times that he's been in this league with the Lions, his coach has been defensively minded. He has not really operated in a system that has, really geared the offense. The Lions for a long time rested on the fact that they had Calvin Johnson. For a long time, that was good enough. That was good enough for the Lions, is that they had Calvin Johnson and Matt Stafford. And it worked. They went to playoff games, right? They competed for the division a lot with Green Bay. It was Green Bay and the Lions. The Lions were a 10-win team a lot of the time, with just basically Calvin and Matt Stafford. And who their running back? Javid Best, Reggie Bush. That was their running game. Their offensive line was middle of the road at best. So to be fair to Matt Stafford, he never really was in a situation that was like, all right, we are an offensive team. Let's go sling it. So I think he should be able to thrive a little bit in LA. So let's get to it. Let's talk about, let me throw my predictions out there for who's going to win the division. I got Seattle, ladies and gentlemen. I got Seattle again, right? Again, this is an offensive league, and if you can score touchdowns, you tend to win. If you can score more than the other team, obviously you win. Old John Madden. The team that scores more is going to win the game. But I see Seattle running away with this. Again, there's like little discrepancy between that 1 and 2, right? Between Seattle at 14-3 and then San Fran at 13-4. There's not much room. Hell, there's not much room here down at 12-5 for the Rams. There's not a whole lot of room at 9-8 down there below. This is going to be a very, very competitive division. We've talked about it multiple times here. It's going to be tight. Would I be surprised if San Fran came up and won it? No. Would I be surprised if the Rams came up and won this? No. Would I be surprised if Arizona won this at 9-8? No. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm completely wrong on this. If everything is ass backwards, I wouldn't be surprised. That being said, this is what I'm calling it at. And the reason why I put Seattle over San Fran comes back to the quarterback. Russell Wilson still is the best quarterback in this division. That gives Seattle the edge, in my opinion. Seattle has... It's close because we have a lot. I mean, look at the wide receivers in this division. It's crazy. You've got Seattle with Lockett, DK Metcalf. You've got San Fran with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. You've got Cooper Kupp, Robert Wood. Is Robert Wood still on the Rams? I think Robert Woods is still on the Rams. You got Arizona with DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Larry Fitzgerald. Pretty deep division in terms of wide receivers alone, right? Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Who do you think's going to win? I want to know. I want to hear it from you. I want to know who you think is going to win this division. The NFC West is going to be wild. The thing to think about with Arizona, though, is that every year Arizona comes out like their pants are on fire. Like they just come out looking really good. They come out looking great, even. And then they kind of taper off at the end. So it'll be interesting to see in what is the third year under Cliff Kingsbury. Third year under Cliff. It'll be interesting to see how they are able to keep that going throughout the season. Moving along, we're cruising. We've just completed the NFC records, and we are moving into the AFC. And one more here. Let me get this situated here, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your patience tonight. All right, there we go. What is going on here? Aha. Technology. Everybody have a good weekend. We had a pretty good weekend out here in Michigan. We're getting married in, I'd say we're probably at almost like 65 days, somewhere in that range. And Katie had her bridal shower over the weekend. It was really nice. So I appreciate all the friends and family that came from out of town or just around here in Michigan, around the area, to help us celebrate that. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate our maid of honor, Kimmy, for putting that together, as well as Katie's parents for hosting. It was awesome. It was beautiful, very beautifully done. So let's jump into the AFC here. AFC East. I got Buffalo running this one away. They finished the season very strong last season. Looked really, really good. I don't find any reason why that should change. I think Buffalo is starting to find their groove. I think they have one of the best coaches in the NFL. Josh Allen, if he continues on the trajectory that he's on, we're going to start talking about him, believe it or not, in the same breath as you hear Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. We're going to start talking about him in that way, believe it or not. If he continues to play like he played last year, that's how we're going to talk about Josh Allen, because it was that good. And when you get a quarterback that's playing that well, this is what's going to happen. You're going to win more often than not. You're going to win a lot of football games when you play well at the quarterback position. So I got Buffalo at 14-3. Miami. I got Miami taking a big step this year. And most of it is not because of Tua. In fact, I don't necessarily believe that Tua is really going to be the driving reason for their success this year. It's Flores. It's their head coach. They've had a lot of draft capital over the last couple of years. I think you're going to start seeing that pay off. Miami is just going to be a very deep team, all 22. And I think I have Miami taking a pretty sizable step forward this year in this division. Again, this is a very top-heavy division. So they do get to feast on these two teams twice a year, right? There's 4 of their wins right there. 4 of their wins are against very low teams in New England and the Jets. The Jets, I already talked about it earlier, guys. I don't trust this organization until they prove me wrong. I'm not very big on Zach Wilson. I'm not very big on Mac Jones. I'm not big on either of those. So that's kind of those again. The quarterback is the driving force for a lot of these things, except for Miami. But I've got New England sitting there at 4-13. I know that's a bold prediction, in my opinion. That's pretty bold. And the way I did this is literally I went week by week and sat there with a spreadsheet, and I sat there and I said, okay, Buffalo is playing the Jets. week one. I don't think that's their week one matchup, but I put a W if I thought the Bills were going to win in the Buffalo section, an L for the Jets then. So these were all week by week. Who do I think is going to win each game? And at the end, all right, calculate what their record's going to be. So it'll be interesting to see how close I end up here. Let's keep rolling along. I got the Titans winning what might be one of the worst divisions in football in the AFC South. I've got the Titans winning this division at 10-7. And the reason I say the worst division in football because there's only one team above 500. Obviously, you've got some teams that are going to be pretty bad here with like New England and the Jets sitting at 4-13 and 3-14. But I've got the Titans winning this division at 10-7. This could be your new NFC South. There are times when like a 7-9 team when we had 16 games. Every season other than this next one, but like the NFC South, there would be like a 7-9 team that would win the division. And it's just like, are you serious? But I got Tennessee winning this one. I don't. Let me be very clear though. I don't like Tennessee. I don't think they're going to be very good going forward. I thought this last year that they are frauds. I think Corey Davis is gone now, if I'm not mistaken. He may have re-signed, but I'm pretty sure Corey Davis is gone. They got A.J. Brown. Great. They've got King Henry, arguably over the last 3 seasons, the number one running back. Probably not even arguably. He's the number one running back over like the last 3 years, is Derrick Henry. But their defense is suspect, and I don't trust their quarterback. And Tannehill, above average, sure. But anytime your game is built on a running back, that is like a ticking time bomb. The longevity of running backs just isn't there, particularly when you have one that gets as much use as Derrick Henry. That's not going to be sustainable. You can't do that every year and expect to get the same results. So Tennessee at 10-7, Indy at 8-9. Indy is kind of Indy. I don't know how I feel about Indy this year. They got Carson Wentz in there now, but what else? What else do they have, guys? I mean, who are the Colts? I don't really know. Where's Josh Wheeler when you need him? Josh, tell me who the Colts are, because I don't know who the fuck they are. Is it Naseem Hines? Is it Naseem Hines? Naheem Hines? Is it Naseem Hines? Something like that. Is he going to be the bellwether? Is it going to be Marlon Mack? Who is their offensive weapon? T.Y. Hilton? Is that still a thing? Is he still their number one weapon? So I don't know. I mean, Carson Wentz can be serviceable, like I was talking about earlier, kind of that middle of the road serviceable quarterback. Outside of that, I don't know. I mean, the Bengals went up 21-0 on them, and if it wasn't for Lou Anarumo and their absolute shithole defense that the Bengals had last year, they would have got beaten by the Bengals. The Titans did get beaten by the Bengals. The Jaguars got beaten by the Bengals last year. Not a very good division. Jacksonville, I think they're going to be okay. I think you're going to start to see it has that as the date there. That was funny. I think they're going to be okay. I think towards the end of the year, you're really going to start seeing Jacksonville start to take some steps as they find their rhythm under a new head coach, a rookie quarterback. They made some solid acquisitions in the free agency as well. So I don't really have them picking in the top 5, maybe even not in the top 10 next year. Houston, now, this is the only one where I was like, a hypothetical, kind of, because I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to play for them next year. It's been a dumpster fire down there, ladies and gentlemen, in Houston, and Deshaun Watson wants out. The organization isn't going to trade him. It just looks very similar to that of like the Bengals when they had Carson Palmer demanding a trade. Eventually, they're just going to get an offer that they can't pass up, and they're going to trade him. And who are the quarterbacks on the Houston Texans right now? You've got Ryan Finley, I think, is a quarterback. Let's take a gander. I want to pull this up here. Tyrod Taylor, Jeff Driscoll, and Davis Mills, quarterback, NC State. I believe he's a rookie. So you got Tyrod, you've got Ryan Finley and Jeff Driscoll, two ex-Bengals quarterbacks, by the way, which is interesting because I believe it was last year A.J. McCarron was on that roster as well. So it's very interesting. And then Deshaun Watson. I don't really think I don't really think Deshaun's going to play. And I don't think this organization is suited well. They've literally traded off every one of their assets that meant anything for almost nothing. They let J.J. Watt walk for nothing. Um, I don't trust Houston. I think they're going to be a very, very, very bad football team. You still with us out there? Facebook, world. If you're joining the video, I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure to like the video, share the video. We are going through and predicting the record of every single NFL team. It has been a lot of fun. But most importantly, what we're doing is raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project. As of right now, we're short of our goal. We wanted to raise $400. We are at $50 right now. That's okay. Those donations are very much appreciated, and we will continue to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project until we hit our goal. So we'll keep rolling along. Now it's time for the NFC or the AFC North. This one is going to be interesting, boys and girls. This is going to be a very interesting division because it's kind of a division in flux, right? You've got a division where for a long time there was just one or two teams that could do anything in the postseason. That is Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Those were the only two teams that really had a chance of contending for a Super Bowl within the division. And now we're at a point now where Pittsburgh's kind of recessing. Ben's at the end of his career. Every year you're thinking he should probably retire, and he continues to trot that shit out there. And then last year they went 11-0 to start the year. And everyone is realizing they know nothing about football, apparently, because the Steelers went 11-0. And then they completely shit the bed for the last part of the season. And then got beat by the Browns in the first round of the playoffs. Which kind of symbolizes where I'm going with this. I think Pittsburgh's on the way down, obviously. And I think it's the Browns' turn to take the division. They have the best running game. They have the most complete offensive line. Their defense needs help, but they addressed that pretty heavily this year in free agency and in the draft. They did very well in the draft. So that being said, there's not really a team on paper that I think matches up better in terms of coaching, in terms of offensive production, in terms of defensive production, than the Cleveland Browns. And then you've got the Ravens. And the Ravens are interesting because they're so explosive, but also kind of volatile. There are times where the Ravens are able to just blow somebody out and they look like they're the best team in the league. And then there are times where they look absolutely out-coached, out-prepared. Lamar doesn't know what he's doing. He's not making good throws, and they just get run over. So the Ravens are kind of, I think, I don't put them on the level of Tennessee when I talk about like the Titans. I think are a fraud. I don't think the Titans are good. I don't put the Ravens on that level because I think they are good. And I think they have a very good coach. I think Lamar is very good. I don't know that he's a good quarterback necessarily. He is a good quarterback, but he's not gonna throw you to a championship, right? It's his athletic ability, his ability to keep the defense from knowing what the offense is going to do in those RPOs, in those tight end sets that they're running out there. And Lamar can throw you to a victory, but I do think that more often than not, defenses kind of figure the Ravens out, especially in the playoffs. Especially in the playoffs. So what the Ravens are really good at doing is taking advantage of a really bad team and beating them. And then you get the Bengals. And we're going to go into it more in depth here in just a second, and I'll go ahead and pull it up. Kind of go game by game here for the Bengals. But the Bengals have an opportunity to really, really start this season off on a high note. They're getting Joe back. Both Joes back. Mixon and Burrow are going to be healthy. They've upgraded the offensive line. You know, you're going to turn on national TV and you're going to hear people talking about how the Bengals didn't do enough to address the offensive line. They're wrong. They don't understand. Burrow was sacked 32 times last year, I think. Somewhere in that range, right around 32. The people that are on the offensive line now, the starting offensive line for the Bengals, which is projecting to be Jonah Williams, Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins, Jackson Carman, and then Riley Reif. That's their starting offensive line, right? That's a projection. Out of those 5 guys that'll be starting for the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals, how many of those 32 sacks do you think those people collectively were responsible for last year? 5. 5 of the 32 sacks. No more Alex Redmond. No more Bobby Hart. Billy Price isn't starting. Fred Johnson isn't going to be starting. Guys, this offensive line is better. Is it good? Probably not. Is it great? No way. But is it better than the shithole offensive line that we had last year? That's how low the bar was. Again, Joe Burrow was sacked 32 times last year. The projected offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals next year was responsible for 5 of those sacks. Burrow's going to get sacked. He's going to get hit. It's the NFL. No one's immune to it. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. In fact, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, they all kind of play the same way, running around, improvising. They often cause more sacks than are needed. But that's okay. That's how you want them to play. That's when they're at their most lethal, is when they're running and improvising and they have playmakers like Jamar Chase or like Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, right? These players that can improvise with them, that's when they're at their most effective. Excuse me. Oh, that felt nice. That's when they're at their most effective. And they're going to cause more sacks because of that. Because they're running around. It's going to happen. But that being said, the Bengals offensive line was really bad last year, guys. So the bar was really, really low. And so if we can get to a middle of the road offensive line and have a healthy Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon, and then you look at that wide receiver trio of Boyd, Higgins, and Jamar Chase, you got to be excited about this offense. They're doing exactly what they should do, guys. They're building an offense that should score 30 points a game, and that's how you win football games. So what we're going to do is let's take a look at my projection for the AFC North. It's running through Cleveland this year. It's running through Cleveland, and I got them winning 13 out of their 17 football games. Very good season for the Cleveland Browns. Bengals in Baltimore, I kind of got them in the same realm at 10-7. Pittsburgh, I got them taking a big step back. That's because I don't trust their offensive line primarily. Pittsburgh's got a pretty old, retired, or useless offensive line. They're not going to be very good. That's just my humble opinion. Also, they said they're going to start playing Juju Smith-Schuster more on the outside, which I don't understand that, because that's like saying that's like if the Bengals were like, we're going to start playing Tyler Boyd on the outside more than in the slot. He's so much better in the slot. Like, Juju is very, very good at being a slot receiver. I just don't get why you would want to take him out of that, other than the fact that Juju wants to be out on the outside more. Please do it. Let him get shut down. So let's kind of take a look at how do we get to 10. That's a big jump, right? From where the Bengals were picking in the top 5, getting up to a 10-7 season. That's a pretty big jump, but I think it's doable. And let me tell you why. Let's kind of look a little bit more in depth on the Bengals season. Open the season against the Vikings at home. You know, the Vikings, I put them kind of at a middle of the road team. Bengals kind of in that same realm as a middle of the road team. I think the Bengals can beat them because I think the Bengals offense is better. It's going to be a really good game, though, guys. I think it's a really, really good game. You got Kirk Cousins, you got Justin Jefferson, you've got Dalvin Cook, you got Adam Thielen. The Vikings have a pretty solid offense. They've got a below average but improving defense. It's a very similar matchup, right? Burrow to Cousins, Mixon to Cook, Thielen to Boyd, Jefferson to Chase. You know, it's gonna be a very, very interesting matchup. I will be there, by the way, celebrating a good friend of mine, Noah. It'll be his 30th birthday celebration the day before, and we will be having a hell of a time at Paul Brown Stadium, enjoying everybody being back together for football in 2021. That being said, very winnable game here against the Vikings. You can win that. You got all year to prep. It's your home opener. Burrow will feed off of the crowd noise. And you know, fans all over the country, not just in Cincinnati, all over the country, fans are going to lose it just to be back in a stadium. It's going to be awesome. Bengals go to Soldier to play the Bears and get a rematch against Andy Dalton. Rather, Andy Dalton gets a rematch against his old team. So it's probably be a little bit fired up. That being said, Bengals have to win that game. You have to beat the Bears. There's zero excuse for why you don't beat that team. You have to be better than them. Steelers, another winnable game. I don't think the Steelers are going to be very good. Then you get Thursday night, Jacksonville, very winnable game. So just look at these first 4, guys. Is it crazy to say the Bengals go 3-1 here? You know, saying with these ones being, let's say the Vikings game and the Steelers game, those are coin toss, right? Flip the coin. So 50% chance says we're going to win one of them. whether it's the Vikings or whether it's the Steelers. If I had to pick, I'd say I'd rather win against the Steelers, being a divisional game, being a conference game. I'd rather win in my division. But if I don't get to pick, one or the other is fine. And then you should absolutely win these two games right here. Let's go out even 2 more weeks. Packers, don't expect the Bengals to win that one. They should lose that game to the Packers. And then the Lions. The Bengals should beat the Lions. There's no question about that. No question. The Bengals should beat the Lions. 2 more games out. Ravens, Jets. Should they beat the Ravens? I went 50-50 on this. I did a split, a home and home split. Ravens win this one. We get the next one. And then the Jets. We should beat the Jets, guys. We should. So you've got these 4 games that you should absolutely win. Bears, Jags, Lions, Jets. There's 4 right there. I'm saying no to these 2, making it 4-2. And then a 50-50 split right here with those. 5-3 to start the season. 5-3 to start the season. That's not bad. Now, let's talk about if I'm wrong. If we don't win against Minnesota and Dalton gets his revenge and then we drop one to the Steelers, we start the season 0-3. Statistically, you're eliminated from the playoffs at 0-3. There have been very few. Now, let me back that off. That was under the 16 game season. The statistics that I'm referencing, probably still very unlikely to get to the playoffs at 0-3 though. It's very hard to do. The NFL is not an easy league. Any given Sunday, that expression is very true. But it's tough if you start 0-3 to get to the playoffs. So say they drop the opener to the Vikings, and then they lose to the revenge game of the Bears, and then the Steelers do what the Steelers do, and they beat the Bengals. And then you have the Jags. Let's say they beat the Jags on Thursday night, and they're 1-3. That next game after the Jaguars is the Packers. You're probably going to lose that one. You start 1-4. Say you beat the Lions 2-4, and then you lose. You start 2-5. That's unacceptable, guys. You can't be going 2-5 with that start of the season. So if they start 2-5, Zach Taylor's seat gets really hot, in my opinion. It's time to start. You're going to start seeing fire Zach Taylor shirts. You're going to start seeing all of this stuff. That it's going to start getting ugly in the Queen City if the Bengals don't come out of the gate hot. So there's a lot of pressure to perform well, and you got the right quarterback there. We'll see if we got the right coach. You got the right quarterback to perform under pressure, to come out of the gate hot. And if I'm Zach Taylor, if I am Frank Pollock, Lou Anarumo, if I'm any of these guys in this Bengals coaching staff, I am stressing that we need to come out guns blazing and win to start this season, because it gets tough. And let's take a look at how tough it really gets here coming down the stretch. Excuse me. So you got the Ravens, Jets, winnable game. Browns, you're probably not going to win that game. Middle of the season, Burrow is going to get better. Let me be very clear. Every week that we keep going through here, I anticipate Joe Burrow to continue to improve, to continue to get better. That being said, the Browns are a very good football team. Raiders, coin flip game. Steelers, coin flip game. Chargers, coin flip. 49ers probably won't win that one. Broncos, you should win that. Ravens, coin flip. Chiefs, won't win it. Browns, depends. It depends right here. This game right here against the Browns depends on a couple of things. One, are they resting their starters? 2, that's it. That's what it depends on. Are the Browns resting their starters here? Because if the Browns need to win this one, to improve their playoff spot, I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see that one. So it gets really tough down here. I'm really, really looking forward to this one, though. December 5th, 2021. You're looking at week, what is this going to be? Like 15? No, I'm sorry, like 13? Somewhere around there. I'm not entirely sure. December 5th, Chargers, Bengals. That could be flexed out to a Sunday night game, depending on how these teams are doing at that point. But that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, two of the most up-and-coming quarterbacks in this league. I think that's gonna be like when Mahomes and Watson played, for the first time. That's going to be a lot of fun. Another one we get is repeat of the quarterbacks from the national championship of 2019. You get Burrow and Lawrence, week 4, Thursday Night Football. That's going to be a lot of fun. See Trevor Lawrence in primetime with Joe Burrow again. I'm sure Trevor Lawrence wants to get the best of him this time because Burrow absolutely smacked Clemson around that game. Obviously, a lot has happened since those two, and I don't want to say that these guys are, motivated solely off their college ambitions anymore, but I think that'll be a fun game to watch. Any other ones that really stick off the map here? No, I think those are the ones. Again, the main thing here, you got to win early if you're the Bengals. You have to. You have to win early because the season gets a lot tougher. The beginning is you can set yourself up for a good season. Let's take a look here. Again, we are rolling through. We got one more division left. I know it's getting late. It's almost 10:30. I'm getting sleepy. One more division left. It's the AFC West. And then what we're going to do is show you the rankings of the playoffs. Then we're going to go through the wild card round. We're going to go through the divisional round, conference championships, Super Bowl, and your champ. But first, let's get an update, see if we have any more donations rolling in. Again, we are here raising money. Raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project. Our goal is $400. We are currently at 50 of that $400. 50% of the donations go directly to the Wounded Warrior. Anything beyond our $400 goal, 100% of that goes directly to Wounded Warrior. And we will continue to strive for our goal until we get there in the coming weeks. All right, last division. Let's crank through this one. This one's going to be quick. AFC West. Kansas City running away with it. I got them resting their starters in the last week of the season. Chargers, big step forward. They improved the offensive line. New head coach, good quarterback. 11-6 for the Chargers. Vegas, I don't trust them. Nope. They got a quarterback problem in Las Vegas. Derek Carr isn't it. And I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I think John Gruden is a fraud. And I don't think he's that great of a coach. So I got him at 5-12. Denver. Denver has no fucking clue what they're doing. Let me just put that out there, guys. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have a quarterback. So Denver's going to be a dumpster fire this year. They want to be that though. They want to get a top 5 pick and get a quarterback. Got him at 3-14. Okay. So let me go through real quick. Recap. We've got Dallas. Ooh, that was a little too quick. We got Dallas winning the division. We got Tampa leading that one. New Orleans in the basement. Green Bay. What's going on with my spreadsheet here, ladies and gentlemen? We got Green Bay winning this one with Chicago in the basement. Seattle winning it with Arizona. In the basement with a winning record, though. NFC West going to be very tough. We've got the Bills winning the division in the AFC East with the Jets getting another top 5 pick. Tennessee barely winning this division. Worst division in football will be the AFC South, with Houston getting 1 win under their belt, the number 1 overall pick going to the Houston Texans. What's going on here? I had these guys at 10-7 here. Cleveland win the division. Bengals take a big step forward. Baltimore kind of staying in that land of mediocrity. And Pittsburgh, huge regression in the AFC North. And the AFC West, Kansas City. It all runs through Kansas City. All right, playoff time. It's time to get into it. All right. So I went through the division winners, and I said those automatically are in, right? Now what we need to do is take a look at who's going to be your wild card teams. What is going on? All right. All right, so you're going to have Tampa with the number 1 overall seed. Then you're going to have Green Bay, Seattle, and Dallas, your other division champs. Wild card teams. Remember, we get 3 of them. I got San Fran, the Rams, and Carolina. So that means three NFC West teams are going to get into the playoffs. 3 out of the 4 teams, which I think it should. I think that's pretty probable. Would it be crazy if wouldn't it be wild if all 4 of them got in though? Like say Arizona wins more, a couple more games. We've got 4 double-digit win teams coming out of the NFC West, and all 4 of them get in the playoffs. That'd be absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. All right. I want to do is hide this. So, wild card round. You've got Green Bay taking on Carolina, Seattle taking on the Rams, and Dallas taking on San Fran. So this is going to be San Francisco at Dallas. This is going to be the Rams at Seattle and Carolina in Lambeau. So who do I have winning these? All right, Green Bay and Carolina. Carolina, you had a great run. It was great. You've got something going on with Sam Darnold there. Continue to add weapons around him. Kind of go with that serviceable quarterback. Great defense with weapons. It might work out for you. But Green Bay buries you in the opening round of the playoffs. Next. Rams at Seattle. You've already played twice this year. It's been a lot of fun watching you, especially when your games get flexed out to Sunday night. Got to go with the quarterback here. Seattle inches out Matt Stafford and the Rams. Seattle moving on to the divisional round. San Francisco at Dallas in Jerry World. Going to be very exciting, but guess what's going to happen? The same thing that happens every year. Dallas, you're going to choke. San Fran beats them, moving on to the divisional round. So how does that stack up then? San Fran will be the lowest seeded team. They will take on the defending champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to get to the conference championship. You've got Green Bay and Seattle. I feel like every time I turn on Fox at 4:30 in the afternoon, when I'm like a little tired and I'm not really ready to make dinner yet, I feel like I'm seeing Green Bay and Seattle playing each other at some point in the playoffs. And Green Bay hosting Seattle. Seattle coming to Lambeau in the playoffs. I'm going with Green Bay. I've got Green Bay beating Seattle to go to the NFC Championship game again. Tampa versus San Fran. This is going to be a very, very good game. The only thing is, how do you bet against Tom Brady? How do you bet against a team that has brought back all of their starters, has put aside going out and getting more money? I know there were more offers on the table, more money on the table for these guys than what they got at Tampa, but they came back to win again. There's something going on there, and it's championships. I got Tampa going on to face Green Bay. This time, the conference championship game moves through Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, number 1 overall seed in the NFC. They'll play host to the Green Bay Packers. And I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry, Lambeau faithful. History will repeat itself, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will beat the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game to move on to their second straight Super Bowl. Out of the American Football Conference, the AFC, you've got Kansas City getting that coveted number 1 overall seed in the AFC, getting a bye. Then you've got Buffalo, Cleveland, Tennessee, Miami. Buffalo, Cleveland, and Tennessee are your other divisional winners. Miami, Chargers, Cincinnati, those are your wild card teams. Opening wild card round. You've got Tennessee hosting the Miami Dolphins. Can we just back up real quick and take a look at the teams in the AFC playoffs? How crazy this would be if there's not anything more of a symbolization of like the changing of the guard that is happening in the AFC. Kansas City, yeah, that makes sense. Buffalo, yeah, that makes sense. Cleveland, Tennessee, that makes sense. But Miami, the Chargers, and Cincinnati. I mean, 5 years ago, if you would have told me that Buffalo, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Miami, and the Chargers would be in the playoffs, I had said you're nuts. Absolutely nuts. But that's what I'm predicting. Can't wait to see it come true. So you've got Tennessee hosting the Dolphins. Tennessee, you got into the playoffs because you play in a shit division. Miami beats you and moves on to the divisional round. Cleveland hosting the Chargers. Chargers, you had a really good run, except for this time you're going east. You're going into Cleveland. Cleveland is hosting a playoff game. It's cold. It's not going to be fun for you. Cleveland wins that one, moving on to the divisional round. And you've got Buffalo hosting the Bengals. The Bengals in another playoff game. The city of Cincinnati has hope, and it will be crushed once again, as Buffalo is just simply a better football team right now. Buffalo would win that one at home. Cincinnati Bengals fan have to wait another year to try and win a playoff game. Buffalo moving on to the divisional round. So, lowest remaining seed, Miami Dolphins. They head out to Arrowhead to play the number 1 seed, Kansas City Chiefs. I got the Chiefs winning this one. It's not going to be close. They're going to be rested. They have flipped the switch as they said they did last year. Kansas City moving on to the conference championship game. Buffalo versus Cleveland. This would be one of the most awesome divisional round games. Buffalo versus Cleveland. Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. The defense that is the Buffalo Bills. The running game that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Browns. Would be very excited. The city of Cleveland, get out your tables. You're busting through them. You're going to the conference championship game. You beat Buffalo at home to go to Arrowhead. Cleveland, Kansas City is my conference championship game for the AFC. And I'm sorry to say it, guys. I'm sorry to say it. But it's going to be a repeat Super Bowl as the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be beating the Cleveland Browns in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. Where does that leave our Super Bowl? Leaves us with Tampa and Kansas City. A repeat, a rematch. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Doing it again. Not again. I know, Cameron. I know. Not again. You get the Chiefs. It's not. I know, man. I know. Anybody that plays the Chiefs, though, that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose. They're just wired different. So, Chiefs, Buccaneers, part 2 in the Super Bowl. Nobody really enjoyed this last Super Bowl. I did, for one. I thought it was a great time. I won a lot of money on the Buccaneers. But what are some things that might be different this time around? What was the thing that really set it apart this last time that the Bucs and the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl? It was the Chiefs' offensive line. And the Chiefs have made some drastic improvements on that offensive line. And Patrick Mahomes, if he's healthy, which is what we're operating under, we're going to operate under the assumption that Patrick Mahomes didn't get turf toe. His knee is fine. He's good. He's normal. I got the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl for the second time in the last 3 years over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Tom Brady will come back for another season in 2022. And that's how it shakes up. That's how I got it. I got the Chiefs over the Bucs. I'm not going to give you a score just yet. But what I am interested in seeing is how close I am this year as the season unfolds. Obviously, during the season, we'll be doing our weekly picks. I'm not going to stick to what I did in the end of May as to what's going to be happening throughout the season. But I will, kind of save this and hop back to it from time to time to see maybe I got one of them right or, maybe I end up getting the Super Bowl right. So there's my way too early predictions on the records of every NFL team. Again, tonight we are raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project. Last time I checked, we were sitting at $50. 50% of all the proceeds will go direct to Wounded Warrior until we hit our goal. After we hit our goal of $400, everything goes to the Wounded Warrior Project. Venmo, PayPal, those are in the description of the video. We didn't quite hit our goal tonight, but that's okay. We are going to continue to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project going into the next weeks as we get to the season until we get to our goal. We'll keep chipping away at it until we get there. So, Todd, Mom, I appreciate you guys joining and donating tonight. Everybody that joined, I appreciate you. Appreciate you liking the video. It's been a while. It's kind of hectic tonight. I had a lot of stuff going on here, but I'm glad we were able to get back on and do the show. Look to continuing to grow it, continuing to do it. Speaking of new shows, though, I did want to give a quick shout out. I've got a couple of buddies that have been really great to line to gain. Todd Gottschall and Bobby Lehman. They've got a new podcast coming out. So if you are kind of in that line of thinking that we all are here at Line to Gain, that we're sick of people talking about the New York Giants when they're dirt. We're sick of people talking about telling us that we need to care about Chicago, or why are the Jets getting 4 primetime games every single year, or why are the Giants on 2 Monday Night Football games every year, getting all of the attention, right? And then they just graze over the fact that Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills had one of the best completion percentages of all time last season. If you're kind of in that line of thinking, then let me tell you about Rally Towel Sports. It's going to be Tuesday night is their target for launch. It's going to be a baseball podcast. Bobby and Todd are getting together doing a live show kind of similar to this. And they're going to talk baseball. They're going to touch on some of the main topics that are going around in baseball and more so the topics that aren't getting enough coverage. They're going to be talking about those things. So Rally Towel Sports on Facebook. I'll be sharing the page tomorrow. Make sure you give them a follow. And again, I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. So like the video, share the video, follow the page. Every little bit counts. I'll see you next week, guys. I appreciate you.